On June 9, 2026, a judge in Oroville, California, imposed a sentence of 225 years to life on a man named Sansue Bee Vang. Vang was the self-declared prophet of a Hmong religious organization he had built from the ground up, the sole author of its scripture, its songs, and its rituals. His only income, confirmed by his own defense attorney, came from the members he claimed to serve. There is one weapon he used against his victims that no court document fully captures. We will get there. To understand what happened in Oroville, you have to understand what Kev Ntseeg Leej Niam looked like from the outside. The name translates roughly to Belief in the Mother, a Hmong spiritual movement founded in 2006 in Appleton, Wisconsin. The organization registered as a 501c3 faith-based nonprofit and built a public website, a donation infrastructure, and a recognized presence across 4 states. By 2017, its members had purchased 170 acres of land in northwest Oroville, adjacent to Highway 70, at the base of North Table Mountain. They paid off that property in 2021. The plan was ambitious, a 31,000 square foot temple with capacity for more than 650 worshippers. The organization's own website described itself as raising funds for a development that would cost, quote, at least $15 to $20 million. Donations were solicited publicly, through the organization's website, through eBay for charity, and through Amazon Smile. A community member named Chi Lee gave public presentations on the temple project and solicited funds at a co-owned restaurant on Myers Street in Oroville, Delicious Food to Go. This was the face of Kev Ntseeg Leej Niam, publicly active, institutionally credible, and raising millions. And at its center was a single man. Sansue Bee Vang held a title inside this organization that most religious leaders do not claim for themselves: prophet. And a prophet, inside this system, was not a symbolic title. It was the architecture of control. Let me show you how it worked. Vang was the sole author of everything the organization believed. He wrote its scripture, he wrote its songs, he designed its rituals. There was no external theological body to appeal to, no council of elders that didn't answer to him, no doctrinal tradition that existed before he created it. Researchers who study high-control religious groups use a framework called the BITE model: behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. What Vang built hit all 4. But his most powerful mechanism was something the BITE model calls thought control, specifically the weaponization of prophetic authority. As the sole prophet, Vang claimed access to something no follower could verify or contradict: the ability to see the future. That claim was not incidental to the abuse. According to the trial record, it was the mechanism of the abuse. When a victim refused or resisted, Vang did not threaten her alone. He threatened her entire community, her family, and every Hmong person connected to the organization. This is collective consequence theology, a variant of coercive control in which individual shame is converted into group responsibility. If you disclose, the Butte County DA's press release documented, Vang told his victims that terrible things would happen, not just to you, but to the Hmong people. Reporting an abuse is already among the hardest things a person can do. Vang made it an act of communal treason, and the architecture he built around that threat made it almost airtight. Consider the geography. In 2020, Vang did not put out a general invitation. According to the Butte County DA, he personally selected specific families from Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Carolina, and Fresno, and asked them to relocate to the Oroville compound. Those families left their neighborhoods, their friends, their prior church networks, and arrived at a 170-acre property where Vang was the center of everything. Housing was on the compound, community was on the compound, spiritual life was on the compound, and the income that sustained it all flowed through Vang. His defense attorney confirmed at sentencing that Vang's personal income was derived entirely from the organization. Not partially, entirely. That means the members who were subject to his spiritual authority were also materially his source of income. The dependency was total. When a follower considered speaking out, she was not weighing her word against a leader's. She was weighing her survival, social, economic, and spiritual, against the catastrophe Vang promised would follow. This was not a fringe operation run out of a storage unit. It was a designed system, and it functioned exactly as designed, until one woman broke it. Now let's pull the actual record. 7 receipts. Let's go through them. Receipt 1, March 2024. A 31-year-old woman walked into the Butte County Sheriff's Office and disclosed to sexual assault detectives that Sansue Bee Vang had forcibly assaulted her on 2 separate occasions. Vang, then 56 years old, was charged by the Butte County District Attorney with 2 counts of forcible rape against an adult female. He was also charged with 4 counts of lewd and lascivious conduct against a minor and 1 count of forcible digital penetration with a child under the age of 14. That was the initial charge sheet. Receipt 2. As the Butte County Sheriff's investigation expanded, it did not stop at 1 victim. 4 more women came forward during the investigation, bringing the total number of named victims to 6. The KMPH Fox 26 coverage noted that 4 of those additional victims had come forward with allegations linked to Vang's time in Fresno. Receipt 3. The trial itself. After 3 preliminary hearings, Vang stood before a Butte County Superior Court jury of 10 men and 2 women. The trial ran 7 days. On February 9, 2026, that jury returned its verdict. Guilty on 8 counts of child molestation, guilty on 3 counts of rape, 11 felony counts, 6 named victims. Receipt 4. The testimony about the youngest victims. The trial record confirmed that 4 girls between the ages of 6 and 12 were among Vang's victims. 1 child alone experienced 5 separate incidents of abuse, beginning when she was 8 years old and continuing until she was 10. According to CRBC News coverage of the trial, Vang threatened to physically harm that child if she disclosed what had happened to her. 3 other girls testified that Vang repeatedly touched them and told them, according to the same coverage, that he would marry them one day. Receipt 5. This is the one I want you to hear slowly. One of the 2 adult women who was assaulted by Vang was approximately 19 to 20 years old at the time. According to the Butte County DA's sentencing press release and corroborated across multiple outlets including Yahoo News and KTVU Fox 2, Vang used his claimed prophetic vision as a direct instrument of coercion. He told her that, as the prophet, he could see that terrible things would happen to her family and to the Hmong community if she did not comply. The DA's release noted directly, at the time of the rape, the woman was only about 19 to 20 years old and truly believed Vang's teachings. She believed his teachings because he built a world in which there was no other teaching to believe. Receipt 6. The financial layer. Pull the organization's own website, archived April 2022 from Kev Ntseeg Leej Niam.org. The site reads verbatim. We were able to purchase 170 acres of property in Oroville, California for the development of Leej Niam's temple and her community. Quote, we are raising funds for the development, which will cost at least $15 to $20 million. This is the organization's own words, published while the abuse was occurring. Now, pull the February 2023 donation request letter from the Zos Ntseeg Move Ntseeg Community Land Trust, published February 22, 2023. During the period when victims were being abused, the letter sought funds for an entitlement and permitting budget estimated at $850,000. The organization's website simultaneously described itself as a 501c3 faith-based nonprofit, giving donors every institutional reason to trust it. And Vang's defense attorney confirmed at sentencing His income came entirely from this same organization. Not disclosed in the donation letter, not disclosed on the website. That's receipt 6. One left, and it comes from the prosecutor who stood in front of the jury and named exactly what Vang built. Receipt 7. Supervising Deputy District Attorney Jennifer Bennett, in her closing argument at trial, said the following, quote, "Vang founded an organization that created opportunities for him to exploit the power he imagined for himself." Quote continued, "and used the organization's structure to silence the women for years, before they found the courage to come forward and speak their truth in court." That quote is now part of the official sentencing record of Butte County Superior Court. 7 receipts, all on the record. But the question the records raise is, what were the warning signs, and why did it take until 2024 for someone to reach the sheriff's office? The first crack in the structure ran back almost a decade before any charge was filed. It ran through the geography itself. Vang founded the organization in Appleton, Wisconsin in 2006. By 2015, he had moved it to Fresno, California. According to the Butte County DA's press release, Vang moved to Fresno after amassing a following in Wisconsin. The press release does not say why the move was made. By 2017, the organization had purchased the Oroville property. By 2020, Vang had personally selected families and relocated them there. Each step moved further from oversight. The silence mechanism was the second crack, and it was built into the doctrine itself. Victims were not just afraid of Vang, they were afraid of what Vang said their silence protected. If they spoke, they believed the entire Hmong community would suffer. That belief was not incidental. Vang authored it directly into the doctrinal materials he wrote. And the compound structure made it worse. When your housing, your community, and your spiritual identity are all located in the same place, leaving that place or speaking against it is not a simple act. The third crack. The organization's public-facing fundraising operation ran simultaneously with the abuse, and it gave Vang institutional cover. While Vang was abusing victims inside the compound, Chi Lee was giving presentations to the public about the temple project. The organization was listed on Amazon Smile and eBay for charity. The architectural rendering was beautiful. The temple capacity was 650. The entitlement budget was $850,000. All of it was real, and none of it protected a single victim. The fourth crack. Butte County DA Mike Ramsey stated publicly after the verdict that investigators believe more victims were too afraid to testify. That is the DA's stated belief, not a proven fact. But it reflects the documented reality of what collective consequence theology does. It doesn't just silence, it makes the silence self-sustaining. The 31-year-old woman who walked into the Butte County Sheriff's Office in March 2024 broke a silence that had held, by the trial records account, for years. DA Ramsey also stated in his post-sentencing interview that Vang was not remorseful and took no responsibility for his actions. A finding now formally entered into the sentencing record for any future parole consideration. Also confirmed by DA Ramsey, Vang, quote, used his position to groom and manipulate female followers for his own sexual desires. On the record, from the DA. What Vang built in Oroville did not emerge from a vacuum. The structural blueprint, profit, compound, collective threat, 501c3 shield, has been used before. More than once. There are 3 structural hallmarks in the Vang case. Each one has an exact parallel in 2 of the most extensively prosecuted American cult abuse cases of the last quarter century. The first hallmark, the prophet as gatekeeper to supernatural consequences. The parallel case is Tony Alamo. Tony Alamo ran a compound-based religious sect from California to Arkansas. In 2009, a federal jury convicted him on multiple counts of transporting minors across state lines for illicit purposes. He was sentenced to 175 years in federal prison. Like Vang, Alamo used apocalyptic threat theology, the claim that divine punishment would fall on anyone who defied him or disclosed. Alamo also relocated his organization from California to Arkansas, each move concentrating followers further from external scrutiny. The parallel to Oroville is structural, not coincidental. The second parallel case, Warren Jeffs and the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the FLDS. Jeffs was convicted in 2011 after relocating the FLDS from Salt Lake City to the Short Creek compound on the Utah-Arizona border, a deliberate geographic isolation strategy. Jeffs claimed prophetic authority, access to divine revelation that no member could challenge without risking spiritual and social destruction. Sound familiar? The shared mechanism across all three cases is this: harm is displaced from the individual perpetrator onto a collective. Reporting isn't just dangerous to you, it's a betrayal of everyone. The third hallmark, all three organizations maintained IRS-recognized nonprofit status and active public fundraising while the abuse was occurring. The 501c3 designation gives a religious organization legal protection, donor credibility, and, critically, an economic structure that binds members' material welfare to their continued participation. When you cannot leave without losing your house, your community, and your spiritual standing simultaneously, leaving is not a choice. It is an exile. These are not isolated failures of individual bad men. They are recurring deployments of a durable playbook, one that operates effectively precisely because it looks like faith from the outside. The playbook does not require a criminal to announce himself. It requires only a structure and someone willing to exploit it. Now let's talk about what happened after the verdict and what the law left unresolved. June 9, 2026. Butte County Superior Court. Judge Philip Hightaker presided over the sentencing hearing. 5 of the 6 named victims gave impact statements before the judge imposed the sentence. Hightaker also denied Vang's motion to reduce restitution. The sentence: 225 years to life. The maximum California law allowed. Vang was remanded from Butte County Jail to California State Prison. He is required to register as a sex offender for life. But the DA did not leave the courthouse sounding satisfied. Because of a provision in California law, the mathematics of Vang's sentence require immediate attention. Under California's elderly parole program, which applies to inmates aged 60 or older who have served at least 25 years, Vang's sentence is not what it appears. DA Mike Ramsey explained it on camera to KRCR immediately following the hearing. His words, quote, "In this case, he will be eligible in 20 years. Since he's 58, he'll be eligible when he's 78. Quote continued, "That does not mean that he would necessarily get parole at that date, but it does move his eligibility from 225 years back to 20 years. 225 years. 220. Because of a provision in California law. The sentencing triggered an immediate legislative response. California State Senator Tony Strickland spoke on camera to KMPH Fox 26. Strickland said, quote, "I think the most central role of government is public safety, and allowing these folks to get out on parole will make us less safe as they go out into our neighborhoods and our communities." California State Senator Shannon Grove, separately, directed a statement at the California Board of Parole Hearings Commissioners themselves. Grove said, quote, "Sympathizing with child predators who openly admit they are still attracted to children is not a mere policy disagreement. It is a serious dereliction of duty and should be grounds for immediate removal." In April 2026, the California State Senate passed SB 286, known as Mary Bella's Law, which would exclude violent sex offenders from the elderly parole program. At the time of Vang's sentencing, the final enactment status of that law and its applicability to his existing sentence had not been confirmed. We are noting it as it stood on the record at that date. As of the period covered by this research, the organization's website at KevNtseeg remained accessible. No charges have been filed against any other member of the organization. Vang is in California State Prison. The doctrine he wrote still exists in the materials he authored. The compound land is still owned by the organization. The 6 named victims spoke. The jury deliberated. The judge sentenced. And the system that made the abuse possible for years has not been dismantled. It has been decapitated. So what does this mean for you, watching this, possibly inside a faith community right now? 5 specific patterns from this case that you can recognize before the damage is done. 1. Leader as sole author doctrine. When one person writes, controls, and owns all of a community's scripture and rituals, with no external theological accountability, that concentration removes every structural check against abuse. Ask, who else can interpret doctrine? Who can you appeal to over the leader's head? If the answer is no one, that is your answer. 2. Collective consequence threats. Any leader who predicts communal disaster tied to follower compliance is using group loyalty as a coercion mechanism. This is more powerful than individual threats and much harder to resist. 3. Geographic relocation as control. Healthy faith communities do not require members to sever prior social ties across state lines as a condition of belonging. 4. Single income dependency. When a leader's personal finances are drawn entirely from the membership, undisclosed and unaccountable, he has material incentive to maintain control. Ask who pays him. Ask how much. Ask if it is disclosed. 5. Public fundraising during undisclosed harm. Active charitable solicitation, including IRS nonprofit status, eBay for charity, Amazon Smile, does not indicate organizational integrity. It can be the visible layer of a closed, leader-controlled system. 6 women named what happened to them in open court. A jury of 12 heard them and returned a verdict in under a week. A judge imposed the maximum. That is what accountability looks like when the system works. The question is whether the structures that allowed this to continue for years, the 501c3 shield, the geographic isolation, the doctrinal monopoly, can be dismantled before the next prophet builds the same machine. Faith organizations in California that refuse to open their financial books to independent review still operate under full IRS protection. That exemption has stood unchanged for decades. Should it? Tell me in the comments.